because of that. And I shouldn't relapse on cocaine because of that. I shouldn't have done that. But because of me coping with that, that was the only way of me doing that, because I don't do Percocets. They had me on Percocets, and I had multiple times of pain before and broken bones, and that's how I used to cope with it. But not saying that that's what I want to do again. No.
Okay. So the pills in the motor vehicle, the ecstasy, the Xanax, and the Oxy, were those yours?
No. My lawyer deceased that. Of course not, my love. No.
Buckle up for another wacky Connecticut parole hearing. This is the crime that she committed and why she is locked up again.
A Bridgeport woman facing DUI charges in Fairfield after she crashed into a McDonald's, and it was all caught on video. Police say Yazmin I DOC was high on PCP when she slammed into the restaurant on the Post Road back on January 29th. Now, the McDonald's was open, but luckily no one inside was hurt. Police say that Hecaveria had cocaine on her when she was found by police in Bridgeport.
Well, there you have it. Just 15 months into her sentence, she has an opportunity for parole. Let's watch it. I'll unpack it with more details at the
Good afternoon. My name is Parole Officer Morse. Today is Friday, May 17, 2024. This is the hearing from the Board of Parties of Parole. Following board members' requirement this morning, and stating their names on the record, certified they review all statutorily required documents and available for information and preparation. Here.
Panel Member Rodriguez, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Nancy Turner.
Can you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
Yazmin I DOC, 339404.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Yazmin I DOC, inmate number 339404. She's serving a sentence of 8 years suspended after 30 months, 4 years probation for risk of entry to a minor, and 2 counts of operating under the influence of drugs and alcohol. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of September 14th, 2023. There is no victim in the case. Excuse me. There's a better accountability plan for the offender. It's been reviewed and shows she's completing parenting, tier 2 negative management. Utilizing the women's risk needs assessment, one of the offender's overall score for recidivating falls within the moderate range. This means this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole.
You may begin.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to start by thanking you for the opportunity to come in front of all of you and ask for a second chance. My name is Yazmin I DOC. As of today, I have been incarcerated at York CI 201 West Main Street, Miami, Connecticut for 17 months. Since my incarceration, I have done a lot of work not only on myself, but also in York institution-based programming as follows: anger management, how to be a responsible mother, tier 2 addiction services, Al-Anon, and Narcotic Anonymous meetings. And I have successfully completed all the programs I have listed. I will continue to pursue all rehabilitation and counseling necessary for my continued growth and wellness in the community. As of right now, I will continue to challenge myself to do things different. I refuse to fall back to old ways and habits that have contributed to my incarceration and downfall. I have imagined the worst that could have happened, and thank God already that it didn't, because the outcome to do that type of scenarios alone could have caused me the rest of my life. I am determined to live a safer life and continuously seek a treatment for my addictions. I vow to do the opposite of all things I have done before. I will seek a sponsor, a mentor, sober family and friends and surroundings, so I can do whatever it takes to put all this hard work and training with you to good use. I need you to know that I take 100% full accountability and responsibility for my actions that led us to this sad day. I am a 37-year-old mother and grandmother who desperately needs to hang on to change in my life, not only for myself, but for my family and community. The plan for this next chapter in my life is the one empowering, uplifting, and positive. I am confident that on this new journey I am on will be able to enhance my thoughts and process determination abilities. I will always remember that I have to be in control of my life and situations I put myself in. I will spend the rest of my life trying to achieve all my goals. My main goal of after sobriety is to show my daughters it's never too late to change and make positive impact on the ones around you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your statement and for writing it out for us and reading it to us. What's going to happen now is that we're going to ask you some questions.
Yes.
And when we're done, we're going to deliberate and we're going to discuss your case, and then we'll let you know our decision. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Palmieri.
Thank you. So, Ms. Masses,
Yes.
thank you. You know, I was going through all these charges and I had to sort of chart them out. You had a handful in 2019, and then you have another one in 2021. So were you out on bond and in the community and still struggling with your substance abuse?
Correct.
Okay. And I noted that you had done a lot of programming during those time periods.
Correct.
Right? Couple
Yes.
of IOPs, the outpatient programs.
Yes.
So, you know, the charges, you were using a hallucinogenic drug.
Yes, it was.
All right. And is that your drug use history? Is using drugs like that?
Apparently, it was in the beginning, it turned out to be, yes, it was marijuana, but I took that one as a long-term one, and it was very hard for me to get off of it. So it was like a period, like for like 3 years, then I got off of it for like 5 years. Then I relapsed out of it again on 2021. So I was off of it for like 3 years. The PCP you're talking about, right? Yes. I was off of it for like 3 years. 4 years, and then I relapsed again that one time, and then that's when I caught the DUI at McDonald's.
Yeah, very serious charges for endangering the public,
Yes.
endangering your child, endangering yourself.
My child was not involved in that.
Well, not in the DUI, but
Oh,
in
yeah,
the,
yes.
in the stuff
Okay.
in the
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
right. That also involved hallucinogenics, yes. But very, you know, the whole thing, very problematic, very serious for everyone around you and the community, right? And yourself.
Yes.
So, you said I was off for a while, then I was back on. For all the treatment that you've done, and you've had some success and some failures, have you been able to identify what the root of the relapse is, or why you keep going back to PCP?
Well, that day, because I won't ever do it again. That day I was just not on probation. They was out on bond, they had me through mental health, and I was going through a lot of stuff with almost being homeless because I just came out of jail at that time, and I got into a rooming house, and then the job situation was just on and off, and I was kind of confused because I don't have a license, but I was doing Uber under somebody else's information, and my rent was just out of control. Everything was out of control. So
Your life was out of your, it sounds like your life was chaotic and
yes, right, and my kids was not around. Everything was just like falling apart again. I was just so down. So I was just like, you know what, I took a hit and then that's it. But I will never do it again. Like this time here in jail, when the judge put me here this time, I took this very, very serious. Multiple times I came to jail, yes. Multiple times I didn't take my life serious. The times that I came to jail, I didn't. I was in denial. I was always saying I was okay. I found out I'm not gonna do it again. I was lying. This time, I'm not lying. I took my addictions program service. I took the responsible mother parenting class serious. The anger management.
Okay,
all these classes.
Yes. For a quick second, because I'm going to back up and ask you a couple questions about those.
Correct.
you said a few times, I took it seriously, I'm not gonna do it again. So let's break that down a bit.
Correct.
What tells you that you're taking this seriously this time? What do you see as different?
I relocated myself from Bridgeport,
To
my New Britain, Connecticut.
okay.
The like people, the place. My grandchild, I have a grandchild now, he's 6 months. My mom is in Hartford. She's 66 years old. She's like, need my help now too.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so those, I'm gonna stop you there because I wanna
No problem.
ask a few more questions about where we're at here. So those are all things that you have done, it sounds to me, for when you get out. You're gonna relocate to New Britain, you have a grandchild, your mom is in Hartford, so you got this smaller network out of Bridgeport. But what's so different? Because I went back to your pre-sentence report and to some other documents, and you just have every treatment imaginable in terms of the levels and where you've gone. So why is tier 2 and anger management, why is this time so impactful for you?
My higher risk level, the higher risk, I grieved on my past trauma, everything, like, I get very nervous, I'm sorry, but I grieved on my past trauma. I learned like how to like take the drug away from my taste, the mind, surroundings, like even here in jail, it's easy to get high, it's easy to be around those people. I excluded myself away from it. And I was really determined to go to these classes. It's a choice to go or not to go. And I really put myself, all my effort, my work, everything in it. And I really want it. I really want change. And I really want to show myself, especially in the community, the people that are going to be guiding me and you know, that's going to be there this time, and showing them that I really got this in my hands.
Okay. So we talk about change, we talk about thinking differently, working problems differently, right?
Yes.
And then I look at that you say you're working under a fake name as an Uber driver. I mean, you have no license, right?
I was.
Yeah, because you were suspended.
Right.
So do you see how that thinking is problematic?
I'm going for driving school.
Okay, so you're addressing your driver's license,
Oh, definitely. I have to do that. Yes.
but you're
Yes.
still driving under a fake account, right?
But that was years ago, before I even came in here.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
So it was years ago. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was years. Yeah, but we're talking about years.
Okay, so that's not something that you're doing when you get out.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. No.
So, but you have 2 DUIs. So how long is your license suspended for?
When I get out, I have to go to, before I came to jail, I was in a Hartford current docket. So I would have to like reopen that case, and they will help me do all those dockets again, and then I'll go to driving school, and then driving school will help me further look into everything, how to do it, because I never had a license. Never. I was a foster child. I never had like guidelines and none of that.
All right. Okay. Do you think that's going to be a little bit of a road for you? That's going to be a long road. So
Right. That's why I'm gonna see like a monitor to help me, like, you know, like do things, especially in New Britain, because I don't even know New Britain. You know, I don't know nobody out there. So
talk to me. Okay. So the charges are what they are. We've already established that one of them you were using acid or PCP and your daughter was home and you had this,
I was set up with acid, actually.
okay, but you were using it and you were also using PCP around that time. So you were driving with the 2 DUIs under the influence of drugs. So let's talk a little bit about tier 2. So tier 2 is kind of a tip of an iceberg for you with all the other treatment that you've done. So did you pick up anything different from tier 2 that you'll take with you into the community?
Yes.
Like what? Give me 2 things.
I will give you 2 things. I will stay. I'm to talk about myself. I'm not gonna be around people. Stay away from that. I'm gonna go to Al-Anon instead of NA or AA. I want to go Al-Anon. That's where, because I went to Al-Anon with the counselor here. It was more structure. It's more structure. It's not like AA or AA is more fake. People still do drugs. They just fake. I've been there. I did those programs before. I want to go somewhere it's more real, the ones I was doing 3 times a week.
Okay. All right. So you're going to do some programs in the community. But tier 2. So we talked about your triggers early. What did you develop as a relapse prevention plan when you finished tier 2? What's part of that plan for you?
Can you rephrase that a little bit?
Yes, I can.
Please.
So you finished tier 2.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I'm sure that when you finished tier 2, part of your homework was to come up with a plan to stay sober in the community. And if you get an urge or you feel a trigger, what's to do about that? What's the plan?
Call a sponsor.
Okay.
Yeah, call a sponsor real quick if I was to want to think of it or anything like that. I mean,
Okay.
I'm to be honest, I don't even want to. My mind isn't even full. I'm not even focusing on them. I have a grandchild now. I don't even want to be around or even think of that. To be really honest.
I want you to be really honest, although I am concerned that just having a grandchild isn't the big.
I know that.
The big plan.
I know that.
It shouldn't be your plan.
And that's not my plan, but I also have that in my mind because it's something different. It's my first one. It's something different inside of me that really gave me the energy to just do things very different this time. I really thank God that happened to me, because if it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for that or me coming to jail, that wouldn't never, all this will never be grateful for me to just be sober right now and think soberly and just act sober and just be so ready and steady.
I hear that. You've had a lot of treatment. So I'm trying to get from you, how you're going to take all that you've learned from all these treatments, even if you have failed, take those reasons why you have failed and how you work to be better from there, how you work to continue to be sober from there. So have you thought about it? Okay. Have you thought about employment?
Actually, I have a fractured disc. That's why I didn't work no time here.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to, I have a lot of things to do. So I have to work on my health issues. I have a fractured disc and a dislocated shoulder that they did MRIs last month.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have to work on that. I had to do the DUI, the DMV. I have to do groups, entertain groups, do more parenting because my child is with her godmother. My 17-year-old child is with her godmother. That's the one I did. I got the risk indetermined with.
Okay.
So it's just
So who are you gonna live with in New Britain? Your boyfriend?
Yes,
Uh-huh. And how long have you known him?
been like 2 years.
2 years? And why is he a good person for you to live with?
He's a good person.
Yeah, why, not why is he a good person, but why is he a good person for you to live with? How will he be supportive?
Cause he works, he's always there for me. Like,
He's a sober person?
yes, yes.
Right.
He got this apartment, to move me from Bridgeport.
Okay,
You know, he don't want me out there. I don't want to be out there. I was out recently out there, and I don't want to be. I used to bounce. I did bouncing job, like part-time job out there. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to do none of that again. I want to do things different. And I was looking into marketing school. It takes a 4-year course after my health conditions, whatever happens with my back and my shoulder, whatever they say, there's a 4-year course for marketing. For
So you're
my
thinking-
long-term goal.
got it. So you're thinking about some schooling as a long-term goal.
Long-term
Right.
goal for schooling for a 4-year course, yes.
Okay.
In New Britain, I think it's in New Britain. I think something.
So
I
how
forgot
do
the
you-
name.
Okay, so how do you think you'll do on probation or parole? You've had some success on supervision in the community. Do you think you'll be able to do it this time?
I promise. Yes, I will.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And how do you think parole or probation can help you?
By monitoring me, telling me what are the steps, the guidelines, and step by step, I'll show them what I need, what they telling me what I need to do.
All right, Ms. Mazes, I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Well, you shared quite a bit in your opening statement, and thank you. I don't really have a lot of questions either. I mean, I am concerned about the efforts you've been having with treatment and they haven't worked out. And it seems like you still have a lot to develop around your plan to be able to come out. So I do have some concerns about that, and I just want to be honest with you and share that with you. But other than that, I don't have any additional questions. Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I just, so the DUIs are very concerning. You're
Yes.
putting the public's safety in great jeopardy. So after you got both DUIs, while you were awaiting sentencing, you got discharged from the Wheeler Clinic in July of 2022 for lack of attendance. And then 3 months later, you're discharged from the Southwest Community Health Center, also for lack of attendance. And I would have thought that with so much hanging in the balance before you go before the judge, that you would at least want to provide successful completion of a program since your DUIs. And, you know, why did you not make a commitment to getting to treatment and completing it?
The Southwest was because I was in the hospital. Southwest discharged me because I was in the hospital. I had the kidney stones. That's when I had a dirty urine. And that's when they put me with these charges for the dirty urine.
Well,
For
you were at
Southwest.
Wheeler Clinic before that and also not attending.
Wheeler Clinic was, how many years ago was that?
It was July of 2022.
Wheeler Clinic?
Yep. Hartford.
No, they didn't discharge me. I had completed that program. Wheeler Clinic? Yeah,
You were discharged for lack of attendance, incomplete.
I have the certificate for that.
You were also on probation when you committed all of these new offenses. So when you said that earlier, that was not correct.
And I was on supervised violation probation. I had to give weekly hearings for
Right.
supervised.
You were on
Yes.
3 years of probation for assault on public safety.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was on supervised violation probation, ma'am. Yes.
You were
Not
on
probation.
probation. You were
Mhm.
on probation when you committed these new offenses.
No, I was not. I really wasn't. I really was. I was supervised violation probation, not no probation. They never reinstated my probation, ma'am. They never reinstated my probation. When I was going to court, ma'am, I was never on probation. I was on
It should be
supervised.
noted she was on probation at the time of the instant offense. Officer Rosford, is that correct?
Here's, I'll review it right now.
Okay.
Did you get arrested and they violated your probation, sent you
No.
to court, and then you were out on bond while the violation was pending?
No, there was no probation. I was on, the judge put me on supervised violation probation. When I was in Hartford.
It's not a thing. What is that? I mean, she
Exactly.
was also on unconditional discharge, 2 counts.
Exactly. I'm glad you seeing that too. Like, what is that? That's what I was trying to tell the judge, my lawyer, because I was like, why is he putting me on supervised violation probation? Even my probation officer in Hartford was saying, what are they trying to do to you? Lock you up? Or what they gonna do to you? Reinstate your probation? Because this don't make no sense. And then they kept me on supervised violation probation all the way to this time. I'm not gonna lie to
Something you
you.
wanted to say, Officer Rosford?
In 2016, she was convicted of assault.
Mhm.
Sentenced to 7 years, suspended after 27 months with 3 years probation.
Mhm.
She was on probation. Probation was terminated in
2023.
June of 2023. So, it is, let me find the instant offense.
For the risk of injury of 8/22/19,
2019.
11/2/19, and 1/29/21 were the 2 DUIs.
It is possible she was violation status with probation, but she's still under the supervision of probation until probation is terminated.
In 2023. Okay.
And I was out for a whole year and 6 months doing great until I caught this dirty urine of kidney stones, and I had proof and everything because of that. And I shouldn't relapse on cocaine because of that. I shouldn't have done that. But because of me coping with that, that was the only way of me doing that, because I don't do Percocets. They had me on Percocets, and I had multiple times of pain before and broken bones, and that's how I used to cope with it. But not
Okay.
saying that that's what I want to do again. No.
Okay.
So the pills in the motor vehicle, the ecstasy, the Xanax, and the Oxy, were those yours?
No. My lawyer deceased that. Of course not, my love. No.
Yeah, I have no more questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Panel Palmieri.
So, I think Ms. Massett has good intentions. I think she's a little older. She's got a grandchild. She wants to do really, really well when she gets out. She's got a new location to release to. She's got a plan. But I think that she needs to have a little bit more time to, whether it's attend NA, maybe some more support at the facility. So the history of her violation conduct with all the treatment failures is concerning. I know that she has some dispute about that. So she's not far from end of sentence, and I do think that she can use the remaining time to do some more work, whether it's with NA or AA or Al-Anon. She's on the wait list for People Empowering People. I think that she would be better served waiting to go out of probation.
I would concur with Panel Palmieri. There's a little bit more time with her while she's there would help her kind of maybe solidify her plan coming out and figure out how it works for her. I think there's still a lot of questions that she had about her release plan and about it. So I would be on the same page.
She should be able to speak with in more detail about relapse and what she's learned and what she should be doing in the future. And the charges are, you know, she was out on bond when other ones were committed on probation, as we've established, you know, whether or not she was in violation status, and she had no license when she was driving cars.
And I'll return it adding to,
No, I don't expect that.
so you,
So,
inadequate evidence.
not really. I mean,
While on probation.
while on
Sweet.
probation, and then nature and circumstances of the offense.
We did say criminal history.
I would say her.
Thanks.
Okay.
But I think she's done the program that she needed to do. I think she's.
Yeah, I think he just used to work on that release.
Yeah.
And get that kind of straightened out. Whatever else you can get between now and December. Okay, so in the matter of Yazmin Masses, 339-404, there is a motion to deny discretionary parole for the following reason: the nature and circumstances of the current offense, criminal history, and poor performance while on probation and or community release. Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Masses, we couldn't grant you discretionary parole today. We do
Fine.
think that you're headed in a good direction and want you to kind of put yourself together.
I will tell you guys I will be soon.
We want to see that.
No problem. Okay.
Good luck to you.
Thank
You're
you.
being a grandma.
I
Yeah,
will be.
good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
They denied. I'm actually surprised, but it is a tougher board than what we normally have, which could be why. Also, her maximum release date, she's getting out no matter what on 12/15 of this year, 24. So, you know, I don't really know what to say in this situation. Laws are, you know, people are locked up to rehabilitate. They're locked up for retribution. They're locked up to keep the public safe. Was there anything that you saw in this hearing that would say, well, okay, I think we're safe. I think we're safe. Mr. Mirabella would have blown a gasket on this hearing. I mean, for her to call AA fake, man. Oof. I mean, I get well, wrong choice of words. Maybe she meant something else. But the bottom line is, I think when you want to take a step back, you can say she has good intentions. You can say that she means everything, but it was not an honest hearing. I didn't hear accountability. I heard straight up lying. Oh no, I never take those medications. Those aren't mine. Oh, my attorney proved it's not mine. It's I only take PCP. It's like, what? Oh man, it's like, just take accountability, you know. And there's like, either you're gonna say she's being honest, it really wasn't her, that's not her thing, she's just a straight up PCP, that's her go-to, that's all she touches. It doesn't make it any better for her, but that's the only way that it's being honest. And it's just hard to believe. And I'm not willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. And because of that, it's like, well, you just lose, you know, it's just one added thing, in my opinion, of again, you're not being honest with your situation. You're not being honest with your, what got you here in the first place, and how can anyone feel safe? This is about, it was a miracle she didn't kill anyone. Do you want to see the accident again? I mean, it's just a miracle. Let's go into it again. Do it without the sound. We don't need to hear the reporter talking about it again, but it's interesting, you know. This was her second DUI, I guess, but she's on probation when she does this. Hello, it's not like it's someone who just made one mistake and they never do it. She was on probation. How do you get a sentence She was sentenced. Thank you, Richard, for sharing all of this information. She was sentenced, I mean, her on 6/9/2023, June 9, 2023. She was sentenced less than a year ago of the date of this recording. And she's getting out no matter what. In what, 7 months? How does that what assurances do we have that she's not going to get back in the car and kill someone? Because she's already done it on probation. It shows that she doesn't have even her own ability to self-preservation, right? And she's like, oh, I was in pain, I was stressed, so I just took a hit of PCP. It's like, it's PCP, man. I mean, if there's like any of the most dangerous, wackiest, nuttiest stuff, I think it's PCP. Next on the list might be meth. Then after that, man, I know there'll be arguments as a whole. It's just my opinion. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. Tell me in the comment section if you think I'm completely wrong here, but PCP is just up there as the crazy one, right? Oof. I do think certain times people need to get longer sentences. She's barely even getting, I think, a grasp of recovery. It's not. I think it is more rehabilitation. Getting in. I didn't hear any of like the proper programs, the AA mindsets. Like just saying the words, "I feel I beat this. I got this." Is like, that's crazy. You've barely been locked up. Oh. Lying about the false reports. The whole thing is just disturbing to me. I'm happy they denied, but this is just, you're just kicking the ball down the road. Sadly, I think you are, and we're just gonna have to pray that she doesn't take anyone else's life. And if she does, in my opinion, it comes down to the judge, the DA and the judge, because this you should say it would be preventable. Talking about New Britain, Connecticut, where she said that's her plan to move. In a previous life, a long time ago, I worked in New Britain, Connecticut. It's a small little town at the time. I don't know if it is now, but I think it had the second largest Polish population, maybe in the USA, and very blue collar town. It was a cute town. I worked there for a little bit, and yeah, anyways, so interesting just to hear that bring up some memories. But hopefully we don't see her in the news ever again. And with that, I'll let you go.
Why did you keep a ledger of the burglaries that you were involved in?
I can't speak to my frame of mind at that time. I don't really remember. I honestly don't really remember that. I remember that, but I don't remember why I did that.
It's just it's a curious act, to document one's crimes and detail them out, and for some future purpose. I wanted to understand what that was.
Organizing all the homes that you've robbed so that you can incriminate yourself after you've been caught does sound a little messed up to me. I wonder what could have caused her to do that. Anyways, we're going to jump into another Connecticut parole hearing and we'll unpack it.
All right, we're going to go ahead and begin. Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Boyce. For today is Friday, May 17th, 2024. I'm hearing independent court partners in parole. All the board members present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available information in this hearing.
Panama Rodriguez, good morning.
Morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Nancy Turner.
Can you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
Melissa Hayfie, 423465.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application from Alecia H DOC 423-465. She is serving a sentence of 42 months for 2 counts of violation of probation, with 2 counts of perjury, and 1 count of plugging in a motor vehicle. Is the underlying offense. As of today, we're pledged parole eligibility date of February 15, 2024. There is no victim of the case. There is an accountability plan that has been reviewed to show she is completed Tier 4 in a care program and also has a job. Utilizing the Women's Risk Needs Assessment Board, the offender's overall score for recidivating falls within the moderate range. Ms. AP, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you should grant it parole. You may begin.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity for me to be here today. I brought a couple notes because I get really nervous talking in front of people. So I've used this time to learn from my mistakes. So I won't repeat them. For me, this is life and death. My addiction brought me here. As you know, I'm here for a VOP. I've had multiple chances. I've been given multiple chances and multiple resources. And I feel really badly that I've wasted those resources when there are a lot of other people out there who would have gladly taken those chances, but I wasn't ready to help myself. So during this time that I was incarcerated, I really tried to use this time in a positive way to set myself up to succeed this time after this incarceration. I did the Marilyn Baker program. I learned a lot about cognitive behavioral therapy, changing some of my thought processes. I learned a lot about trauma therapy and a lot of the unaddressed trauma that I have that gets me to keep relapsing. I did the CCAR program. I did the recovery coach certificate, which I plan on getting involved with when I get out, to expand my sober network and to stay clean, because that really causes all the problems, my relapsing over and over again. I also connected with the Yale study, the action study, for resources when I get out. I have a caseworker, Ronald, who's connecting me with anything that I need, housing, medical, phone, and a lot of other things I can't think of right now. In addition to that, if I was granted parole, I also got connected with an organization called People Ending Human Trafficking through a contact in the FBI that I have. Her name is Wendy, and they have set me up with housing. I'll be able to stay there for up to 2 years for free. They'll take care of all my expenses. They'll take care of the actually some trauma therapy. There's good recovery in the area, good meetings, and it sounds like it would be a really positive experience for me to transition out into the community. And while I was here, I also did CDL, and I plan on pursuing my CDL when I get out. So I will have a job when I get out. I've been trying to pursue the CDL. I've been interested, but now I'm really taking steps to commit to getting that license, getting a job. I already have job offers when I get out. I have one job offer to transport vehicles, and I have another job offer to drive commercial vehicles for Eversource. So I'll be able to finish that CDL within probably 6 weeks of my release. And this is all part of my plan to be productive, supported, and most importantly, clean, because when I'm using, I'm selfish, I am manipulative, I turn into a liar, I have a complete disregard for other people, and I do dangerous things for myself and for other people, and I don't want to live that way anymore. As you can see in my record, I was brought to jail in 2017. I had no business burglarizing houses and violating people's privacy. I had no business running around with loaded weapons and stealing cars. I wasn't raised that way, and I'm very ashamed of the type of person I turned into because of my drug use. And I think that now I actually care. I know I actually care enough now to set myself up to succeed. I've doubled down on resources from People Ending Human Trafficking and also from the Yale study. So if if one organization doesn't provide resources, the other one will. Whatever gaps need to be filled, and plus the CDL, I need a fail-safe plan not to fail, because I can turn into a monster, and I don't want to impact the community like that anymore. That's not the person I want to be. I feel like this bid has saved my life. I feel like this bid has changed me. I've had many opportunities to get high in here. There are a lot of drugs here, and I don't want that. I've said no, and I am committed to being a different person, and I just want to stop fighting the system, and I just want to do the right thing. My priorities when I get out are to first finish my CDL and gain employment, build my sober network. I mean, I do have social support at home. I have my aunt and uncle, I have my parents, I have my sponsor who I've known for 10 years, and I have other sober friends. Yeah, I have stable housing, so I just want to maintain that, and I think I have a good plan so far. And I think that's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for preparing those words and for preparing, being prepared with your statement. It kind of helps us when we thinking about the kind of questions that we want to ask. But thank you so much for that. And what's going to happen now is that we're going to ask you some questions, each of the panel members, and when we're done, we're going to discuss your case and deliberate and let you know our answer. Okay? Thank you. Panel member Turner.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's Happy?
Hayfie.
Hayfie. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I get that a lot.
I'm sure. So, when you were incarcerated last time, you had a 15 months to serve sentence, so you weren't parole eligible.
Yeah.
And now you are back on probation violations with a 42-month sentence.
Yeah.
So, what we're doing here today is making a determination about whether it's appropriate for you to finish that 42 months out in the community under supervision of discretionary parole. And we have to make that decision in light of the interest of public safety. That's our role. So you were given a flat sentence, I assume, because you were so resistant to probation. And you were struggling, clearly, not reporting, not participating in treatment, and using while you're on probation. So, basically, the court's decision is if you're going to fight it, we're just not going to give it to you because you're not taking advantage of it. So it's interesting to hear your plan, which so thoroughly detailed all the supports that are in place for you to guide you and to guide your transition into a life clean and sober. What's your longest clean time?
About 4 years.
How'd you do that?
I was with my sponsor. I've known my sponsor since 2014. I went to a lot of meetings. I went to a lot of sober activities with the people I met at meetings, like a lot of young people's conventions. I was involved with CCAR a little bit.
So how'd the wheels fall off the cart?
My co-defendant. It's the people I surround myself with. I just let him pull me in the wrong direction. And if I could give advice to my younger self, I would have told my younger self to cut and run. I don't know. I was very invested in the relationship, and that was definitely the wrong decision because he just pulled me right down with him.
Have you had any contact with Mr. Taylor?
No.
So it was interesting with everything that you said in your opening statement, and then you got down to your priorities, which is, usually a question I ask because, you hit the ground running when the gates open.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's which direction and where do you go? What do you start first?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say recovery first. You said employment.
I feel pretty solid in my recovery, and I feel like that for me, that's just automatic. I already have a very strong sober network, and I talk to them on a regular basis. I have meetings that are right there within, like, I already know of locations of meetings within the location I want to parole to. I'll be doing therapy, and I guess in my mind, it's just kind of automatic. I don't know why I didn't say it in the very first thing. I'm a little nervous,
Well,
but
it's not nerves because you clearly laid out your top three. So I just want to encourage you to revisit that because the quickest way to get your recovery undermined is to be arrogant about it.
right,
It needs your attention every single day when you wake up, making that commitment to yourself to live clean and sober.
right,
So,
absolutely.
Because you're certainly not going to be able to drive for these jobs that you talked about without, the commitment to your recovery.
Right.
I'm curious, you're clearly an intelligent woman, with lots of options and opportunities. Why CDL? What about that speaks to you?
Well, for me, I like driving. It's not that much training, and it's a career that's in demand, and it pays well.
You have some college credits.
Mm-hmm.
You've been working data entry there at the facility.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have life goals beyond, CDL?
Well, I think what I was thinking, what my plan is to drive for like 5 to 10 years and save as much money as I can and then open my own trucking business. So I will use the money I've saved to buy my own fleet of trucks, essentially.
One truck at a time.
Yeah, one truck at a time, exactly. And I actually found out that a lot of companies like Freightliner will actually give you your first truck, and I have to look into it a little bit more, but with like first time truck buyers, they'll really work with you with being flexible with how you pay for your first few trucks. So they make it really easy to get that kind of business started. So
just remember, if it sounds too good to be true.
Oh yeah, my mom definitely tells me that all the time. But yeah,
Well, Ms. Hafey, I want to recognize that you haven't had any disciplinary issues, which is a little different than your last bid where you got
absolutely right.
So that, that's a nice indicator of progress. We got some lovely support letters on your behalf. And you completed, DOC's premier program, which is the Marilyn Baker program. And, I'm pleased to see that you've further invested in continuing through aftercare, because that's important to see, but also for you as a foundation. You know, you said you set yourself up to succeed, and we're looking at suitability and making our decision today. And you present a strong case. Why did you keep a ledger of the burglaries that you were involved in?
I can't speak to my frame of mind at that time. I don't really remember. I honestly don't really remember that. I remember that, but I don't remember why I did
Okay.
that.
It's just it's a curious act, you know, to document
Yeah.
one's crimes and detail them out. And
Yeah.
for some future purpose, I wanted to understand what that was.
I can't speak to my frame of mind at the time or my reasoning. I can tell you I wasn't in my right frame of mind a lot of the time during that time, and I don't really remember what I was thinking.
What caused the car crash?
I was up for many days in a row, and I think I fell asleep at the wheel.
Well, you're blessed to be here.
I could have hurt somebody else or myself or worse. Exactly. Absolutely.
Do you have a plan in the different supports that you detailed to us for your mental health? I don't
Yes.
want to get into details in terms of medications or diagnoses, but do you have a service provider? Do you have a plan for the community?
The people ending human trafficking, the housing that I would like to go to, they have a lot of mental health support there. They see the value in addressing the underlying trauma issues and mental health issues. So I know they have good resources for that. And if their resources aren't something I can jive with, I know that the Yale study also has resources for that as well. I couldn't name you specifics because my reach is limited from here, but I do know yeah.
Yeah, you have a plan for managing
Yeah.
your mental health when you're back in the
Oh, yeah.
community. Okay.
Absolutely.
On your prior bid, Ms. Hayfie, did you take the Voices program?
No, that wasn't on my OAP.
What did you take?
On my bid from 2017 to 2019, I was unsentenced, so I wasn't eligible to be in any programs. I was unsentenced until like the last month I was here. And I wrote to various programs and they kept responding that since I was unsentenced, I wasn't eligible for any programs.
Yeah, we know that. And I didn't realize that 15-month period was sort of, I don't want to say dead time, but it wasn't as productive as it could have been for you.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking is because in your opening statement about the burglaries, you reflected that you violated people's privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered if you appreciated the full extent of the harm that you caused, because I would have thought that recognizing that you violated their sense of safety and security that home represents.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, you were rooting around in their drawers and stealing jewelry, but it's a bigger picture thing because, you know, to know somebody they don't know has been in their home and looked at everything and taken what they wanted and got in and got out, realizing, you know, they could have been home at the time that you tried to break in, that kind of thing. So
right.
How do you think they're impacted?
I mean, the impact will probably be lifelong. I mean, it could bring a sense of paranoia that will never go away. I mean, it could change somebody's whole outlook on humanity as a whole. I mean, it could, if that happened to me, I mean, I might have a hard time trusting people in general.
So there's an emotional toll.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Things are taken.
Right, absolutely. And I mean,
that their security feels shaken. There's a
absolutely.
financial impact too. What do you think some of the financial ways victims are harmed?
I mean, you know, people, there are some things that people are never going to be able to get back. I mean, if people are saving for retirement or something, they have to go spend a bunch of money on property that I damaged or whatever. They're saving money for their kids or something that they work hard for. That could totally upset their financial situation. And on top
So
of that,
I'm going to throw out a few things for you to think about, you know, just to round out the picture. So, you know, people might have insurance, but you have a deductible. So they're on the hook for part of that. And it causes everybody's insurance rates to go higher when the insurance companies pay out to homeowners who were vandalized as you were doing. But financially, people then end up investing in security systems and new locks and bars on the windows and cameras to monitor the property. And, you know, that's part of feeding into the, you know, feeling insecure and the paranoia you referenced. But there's a lot of out-of-pocket expenses that go along with it because the damage has been done. You know, in some cases, people can't live in the house anymore because it just feels, you know, like an invasion and of their privacy and their security. So I just wanted to explore that a little bit more fully with you. Because I think it helps to appreciate the harm if you're looking to make restoration and amends out in the community, not to the individuals harmed, but to the, you know, karma, right?
Right. Oh, of course. And I've experienced that karma myself since then, and it's one of the worst feelings in the world. So I can appreciate it. You know, I can empathize with it, not appreciate, but empathize with it a lot more personally, because now that it's been done to me, I can put myself in those shoes, and it's not a feeling I'd ever want to inflict on anybody ever, ever, ever again.
I want to leave our conversation and give my colleagues an opportunity with the matter of the 5 guns that were stolen from the residents out of Massachusetts, because you I'm sure are aware every day, it's in the news, the way that gun violence is impacting our communities and people are dying through the carelessness of people who are willing to carry a firearm and use it. So, you know, the harm of whether or not, I know one of those guns was recovered because you had it on you, but the other 4, they could be out in the wind causing, you know, contributing to the harm that all of our country is suffering with. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Palmieri?
I have no questions.
I don't really have a lot of questions either, Ms. Hager, but I have just one thing. You mentioned that you're in this particular situation, one of the things that really impacted you was meeting your co-defendant. You said you had 4 years of clean time. You were involved in a sober thing, and I'm assuming you met him after that, because you said you were hanging out with a lot of sober people. So how did you end up meeting someone that detracted your recovery and clean?
So I met him while we were using. I got clean. he went to jail. I stayed in contact. This was way before 2017. This was years before. I was free. I got clean. He went to jail on his own stuff. He seemed to have the attitude like he wanted to turn his life around, and follow what I was doing with my sobriety. He got out, everything was great for a while. We were going to meetings together, we were sober together, and then he fell off the wagon, and I maintained my sobriety for a little while after that. And then eventually, I relapsed with him. There was drugs that he was bringing drugs in the house. He was using around me, and it was just the wrong day, the wrong weak moment, the wrong time, and I eventually couldn't manage that.
But it occurred during that time that you were really kind of moving in a real positive direction, and the only reason I bring it up because that's something that I think you need to continue to maintain that what happened and that experience, because it does happen in recovery groups.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
how people end up falling back into relapsing and falling back in. Okay, now I don't really have any additional questions. Thank you so much for answering questions. We're going to go into deliberations, discuss your case, and we'll let you know the outcome. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Panel member Turner.
So Ms. Hafey presents a strong picture today. She's clearly done advanced work in preparation for her release. We probably could have ended the hearing after her opening statement because, she addressed her past, she addressed her recovery, she addressed her plan, and, it's all very solid. I think she's working with tremendous insight. As long as she does, as I, keep the commitment to her recovery, there's probably nothing she can't do. So I would be voting to grant with just a few conditions.
Okay.
I concur with everything that Ms. Turner said. I think she covered so much in her opening statement. I mean, got all kinds of services and resources in place to help her be successful. It'll now be up to her to take advantage of it and stay the course.
And what I love about what she's presented us is that it's not, 6 months and boom, you have to have it all figured out and all the pieces in place and you're done. She's got this program that's going to invest in her for 2 years and give her the chance to get that CDL, get that career started, and also pursue how she can get back through CCAR.
I was impressed with the way she laid out each of the individual thoughts and plans that she had. Yeah, okay.
And she needs to stick with.
But she needs to stick with it because look what happened the last time she was in 4 years of recovery. So, okay. So, in the matter.
Mental health evaluation and treatment.
Yeah.
No alcohol and a general no contact
With Daniel Taylor.
Yes.
Okay, so in the case of Melissa Hafey, inmate number 423465, there's a motion to grant discretionary parole on or about May 17th, 2024, with the following conditions: no alcohol, mental health evaluation treatment is deemed necessary, and no contact with co-defendants Daniel Taylor. Do I have a second?
It's actually a general no contact with
Is it-
Daniel
oh, is
Taylor
it general?
because it was an underlying co-defendant.
All right, no general contact with co-defendant Daniel Taylor, or just no general contact.
General no contact with Daniel Taylor.
General no contact with Daniel Taylor. Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Ms. Hafey, you basically heard our decision. We hope that you
Okay.
continue on the path that you're going and you continue to do the work that you're going. You seem to have a really good plan, and we hope it all works out for you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And you'll be hearing
Thank you.
from parole officer in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
This concludes here. It's 8 a.m. 14 feet.
Okay, so it's So it's no general contact.
Okay, so let's unpack this. I mean, to start, kids don't do drugs. I mean, you can, they don't ever talk about their drug of choice, which is, I think, quite odd. They don't really, in my opinion, get into the nitty gritty of the whole, the idea that she does start off by saying that, well, I feel like I'm solid in my recovery. It's automatic. And she was called out on it, but I didn't think to the extent that she could have been called out on it. I mean, I think in Louisiana, if you had Mr. Mirabella up there, it would have been an automatic fail. You just can't get up to your parole hearing and say, yeah, no big deal. I've got it covered. Because she can have the best intentions, but man, I mean, it only takes a second. You're talking about meth, and I believe that was the drug of choice. I'm just making an assumption. This is early on. This is with her boyfriend, in their career, and they look like, actually they could be Yale or Harvard students, right? Just between classes, who knows? They're maybe getting locked up for doing some protesting or something. But then you fast forward just a year and boom. And yeah, I mean, that looks to me like telltale signs of meth. Again, I'm no expert. I'm just guessing. And you even saw it, I thought, in some of her, like the way she would scratch her neck. It was like those old habits kind of kicking in. And because of that, I'm afraid I'm kind of scared. I don't know. It gets me nervous. Now we can go over a little bit of her crimes. Thank you, Richard, for sharing the info. But what you can see here is, again, where she had, where the judge took it easy on her and she messed up. So in November 24th, 2017, she was caught with the illegal possession of a weapon. So this is one of the stolen weapons that she stole, that they spoke about. And she was sentenced to 5 years, but it was all suspended, and she was given 3 years probation. And then she was revoked, violation of probation, sentenced to 42 months in jail. Then you also have the 2018, the burglary charge. I guess that's just, I don't know if that would have came in sentenced to 2019, if that would have came probably after finding the weapon. They probably said they probably tied it to that gun, and then they were, well, how do you know that she stole it? Because she had a ledger of all the homes that she robbed. And what they were saying, actually, on the articles I can go through with you, is that they were stalking people through like Facebook, and based on like Facebook posts, they were robbing those specific houses. So this was a thought out, articulated. So we can jump into it here. So they arrested a Hartford man and his alleged accomplice on charges related to burglary. So they would go to homes when they're away on vacation. And on that note, doesn't it remind you of Home Alone, right? Those burglars would look for people who are on vacation, and then they would leave the water running as their little, that was just something they would do. They would turn the water on in all the homes so they would flood. But that was their own ledger, because the police knew what all the homes that they had robbed. So burglary, third degree larceny, first degree criminal mischief, and stealing a firearm. He was held on. So police said in a Facebook post Tuesday that the investigation found Taylor and Hayfeet would search social media sites for families who posted about going away on vacation, and then would target those homes. Could you believe, whatever. So, most of us watching this are probably true crime people, and many of us probably know, like, don't post those things on social media. Don't, because there are people watching. If you're going to post about a vacation, it's always best to post after you've returned home. You say, we're back, here's the vacation, here's the pictures, but don't post it while you're away. There are people looking. And I don't know, how do you feel about this? Like, there are some ways where I say, look, she hasn't hurt children. She hasn't taken anyone's lives. She was doing the burglaries when no one was home. These weren't home invasions, right? And she has a clear narcotic problem. So let her get out, and either she succeeds or she doesn't succeed. Doesn't feel like as much as a risk to society, right? In those situations, yes, she can go rob another house, but then you know, she is, man, she does seem to be on the higher, you know, she's intelligent, but well, I'm okay. I'm okay with this type of parole. It's like we're so like, what are you gonna just punish her more? I would have preferred to have seen her be more indoctrinated into what she'll need to succeed in terms of AA. I don't know if I was left feeling that way, but she's paroled, she's out. Hopefully we don't see her again. And hopefully she does go, and the truck driver thing's interesting. But more power to you if that's what you want to do it, and just don't have an accident. And with that, I'll let you go.
Exhibit Z, misconduct for Rise Halfway House, violent behavior dated 2/12/2024. Exhibit AA, Rise Halfway House incident report for aggressive behavior incident dated February 12th, 2024. Exhibit BB, misconduct report for unaccountability in the community dated.
Yes, you heard right. She just mentioned Exhibit Z and then AA and then BB. That means that this parole officer had to use so many exhibits, she ran out of the letters in the alphabet. She is up for a parole revocation hearing with so many strikes. We've never seen anything like this before, but she happens to have, I believe, the best public defender in the state of Connecticut representing her. So this is going to be interesting to see. You might be surprised. With that, let's jump in.
Your parole and to determine if you should be held in prison pending further proceedings. The state, not you, has the responsibility to show that there is probable cause to believe you violated one or more of the conditions of your parole. If I do not find probable cause, I will reinstate your parole, which means releasing you and placing you back on parole supervision. If I find probable cause and determine that the act is sufficiently serious to warrant revocation, you may be held in prison pending further proceedings. You should know that at a preliminary hearing, it is an adversarial proceeding, and anything you say at this hearing can be used against you, and this hearing is being recorded. So, Mrs. Huslin, you do have important rights. You have the right to be represented by an attorney at this hearing, which you have exercised here today. You have the right to receive written notice of charges of violation. Did you receive written notice?
Yes.
You also have the right to review the evidence against you before this hearing, as well as you have the right to submit evidence in support of your case. At this hearing, you have the right to call and examine voluntary witnesses and to cross-examine any adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
And Attorney Famlighetti, have you had sufficient time to prepare for today's hearing, and are you ready to go forward?
Yes, I spoke with her on 2 occasions. And I am prepared to go forward, and it looks as though she has paperwork in front of her, so I am not sure if Ms. Haslund wishes to speak after I speak.
What I can do is I can go ahead and just
Go forward.
go
Swear her
forward.
in.
I'll swear her in, as well as Officer Sheehan. If you could both please raise your right hand.
Me?
Yep.
If you wish to testify later.
Yes.
All right. So do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yes.
And Officer Sheehan?
I do.
Thank you. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to review the charges that Parole and Community Service is bringing against Ms. Huslin and the information underlying each charge. Officer Sheehan, you have the parole violation notice in front of you?
I do.
All right, so if we can start with charge 1 under release direction specific to reporting.
Sure. On 2/15/2024, you had lied to halfway house staff and parole officer about being enrolled in adult education classes. After speaking with Lois from Hartford Adult Education and Catherine from Stanford Adult Education, you were not enrolled in classes from January 25th, 2024 through February 8th, 2024, but you requested community passes for classes that you were not enrolled in, went to the library to complete assignments even though you did not have assignments, and continued to tell halfway house staff that you needed to go to the library to complete assignments on January 26th, January 30th, February 1st, February 2nd, February 3rd, February 5th, February 6th, and February 7th. This is a violation of parole condition release direction. You will follow the parole officer's instructions and report as directed to parole officer. On
Charge
Right,
number,
charge
is
number
that
2,
part? Yeah, charge number 2 under curfew.
on December 8th,
Her offense list is so long that I'm going to put this on 4x speed. It actually goes through the letter Z and then back to A, so the A, B, B, C, C, and D, D. It's too long to go, so we're going to 4x. I'll see you at the end of this.
And charge number 3 under drug testing.
On 8/21/2023, or about that date, you used cocaine and PCP and rendered a positive urine for cocaine and PCP. Based on your actions, this is a violation of sexual condition release direction. On 8/30/2023, or about that date, you used cocaine and PCP and rendered a positive urine for cocaine and PCP. This is a violation of sexual condition release direction, as you will follow the officer's direction as directed to officer. On 10/2/2023, or about that date, you used cocaine and rendered a positive urine for cocaine. This is a sexual violation release direction. You will follow the officer's direction as directed to officer. On 10/14/2023, or about this date, you used cocaine and rendered a positive urine for cocaine. This is a violation of sexual condition release direction. You will follow the officer's direction as directed to officer.
Charge number 4 under criminal statement.
On 9/16/2023, you found smoking and heavily in your room. You attempted to hide from staff. This is a violation of half-house handbook. Page 8, smoking cigarettes not in your building. Access to the house for the purpose of smoking is not permitted by staff policy. On 9/17/2023, you found smoking and heavily in your room. This is a violation of half-house handbook. Page 8, smoking cigarettes not in your building. Access to the house for the purpose of smoking is not permitted by staff policy. On 9/16/2023, you found staff with your staff. Concerned staff and hands at staff and corner staff in office. You are not called to the officer. Behavior 1 to staff to call the manager and parole officer. This is a violation of half-house handbook. This is a violation of half-house handbook. Other staff in on 7/5/2023, you were not to arrest for staff, staff. You were not to arrest or put yourself in the hands with staff in office. You were to use office and don't dash staff. This is a violation of half-house handbook. On 1/3/2024, you did this on the house. On 12/3/2024, this altercation is in your room and this is a violation of half-house handbook. This is a violation of half-house handbook. And 3/2 staff in your room is also a violation of half-house handbook. On 1/2, you're not following instructions. Not keeping your room, how you clear, or the staff. This is a violation of half-house handbook. And 3/2 staff in your room is also a violation of staff and staff. Right after the staff, parole officer and staff to come see you. On 2/12/2024, you were investigated for another staff. You were then you were then on your face and reported your face. This is a violation of half-house handbook. This is a violation of staff. This is a violation of half-house handbook. And 3/2 staff and 9 days of staff and other staff. On 2/13/2024, you were Chinese and you come in your room. And other staff. This is a violation of half-house handbook. You were requesting classes for classes that were not enrolled. When after the hours of complete assignments, you needed to have staff and you used those libraries to complete assignments on January 26th, January 30th, February 1st, February 2nd, February 5th. These days noted, you were leaving considered this is a violation of half-house handbook. And return to the house for complete classes and return. On February 15th, 2024, law officers right after GPS and you for 2 violations of collective liability. You refused to have law officers to law officers continue to restrict you to on your times, saying you're not putting that fucking you're not putting that on the I'm putting that on. I'm leaving here, I'm not putting that on. You continue to raise your voice. You don't refuse to allow law officers to see. This behavior is literally an act of this is a violation of half-house handbook. And 2 violations and 9 days of all occasions. Staff and police.
And if you could please put on record the evidence.
Sure. Is it A? Is signed, stated, and agreement of 8/3/2023 was signed on January 5th, 2024. Is it B? Directed for order? Is it C? Notice of parole violation? Is it D? Parole violation report? Is it E? Notice of parole rights? Is it F? Half-house agreement rights? Half-house? Is it G? Rise program? Is it handbook? Is it H? Civil half-house incident report? Dated 8/21/2023. Is it all civil half-house? And the results 8/21/2023. Is it J? Arbitration of half-house 8/23. Is it K? Disciplinary action for smoking having something half-house 9/16/2023. Is it L? Disciplinary report action for smoking having something half-house 17/2023. Is it N? Disciplinary report 7/2023. Is it S? Civil half-house results 10/2/2023. Is it 0? Misconduct report 8/2023. Is it P? Civil half-house incident report 11/16/2023. Is it reported 12/5/2023? Is it R? Civil half-house report incident report 5/2023. Is it U? Civil house half-house incident report positive. You're now stated 1/9/2024. Is it B? Misconduct for half-house restrictions of felony 1/22/2024. Is it W? Half-house incident report 1/22/2024. Is it X? Community passes for library 7 days time date January 23rd, January 26th, January 6th. Exhibit Y, Rise Halfway House Program Incident Report for having a vape in her room, dated 2/12/2024. Exhibit Z, Misconduct for Rise Halfway House violent behavior dated 2/12/2024. Exhibit AA, Rise Halfway House Incident Report for Aggressive Behavior Incident dated February 12th, 2024. Exhibit BB, Misconduct Report for Unaccountability in the Community dated 2/19/2024. Exhibit CC, Rise Halfway House Program Incident Report, Witness Refusal to be placed on GPS dated 2/15/2024. Exhibit DD, Video Submission of 2/12/2024 incident at Rise Halfway House. Exhibit EE, Photograph of cigarette lighter.
Thank you very much. Take a sip of water.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so in regards to charge number 1, I'm gonna be making a no finding. I'm not gonna need to take any information regarding that charge. Charge number 2, I'm gonna make a no finding. I'm not gonna be taking any testimony in regards to that, as well as charge 3. All 3 of those are not gonna be considered during today's hearings. So we're gonna focus on charge number 4. Officer Sheehan, you do have the opportunity to provide any further information at this time in regards to this charge. Would you like to make a comment at this time? Or it's actually multiple for charge 4, but.
Yeah, I put together in the narrative that I'm very concerned about her aggressive behavior. That's my main concern. She doesn't take responsibility for things, and when she's confronted with them, she just exhibits aggressive behavior. She's exhibiting aggressive behavior towards offenders, halfway house staff, and myself, and another parole officer. It's the behavior of her just not being able to speak. You know, you're not able to guide her to speak. She's constantly speaking over, very aggressive. That's my biggest concern with her. That there's a lot in the narrative. I don't know if you'd like me to read it. The narrative also includes a lot of the stuff that, you know, you've already had a no finding on.
No, so I've already read the narrative, and I'll just, I apologize. The reason for the no finding on the reporting was because it's charged under the wrong charge, and it doesn't meet the elements of the condition. The same for 2 and 3, curfew, it's the wrong charge. The elements weren't met where, for that, and the drug testing. So if that was charged under drugs, obey all laws, drugs, it probably might have been a different outcome, but because it was charged under drug testing, it didn't meet the elements there. I did read the violation report, the summary, I did read that. So this part is just specifically to the charges for the halfway house violation charges that you have against her. So the specific dates, if you have anything in particular regarding those charges.
No, I think that they could speak for themselves.
Okay. Attorney Famlighetti.
Yes, so the remaining charges, charge 4. I broke that down into 11 separate parts. I don't know what you broke it down to. I had A through K.
11.
Okay, so I'm going to address them as such. Should I use numbers or letters?
I use numbers. You
Numbers,
use it any
okay.
way you want. I am
Okay.
flexible.
So I have no comment as to numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know under 6 whether or not having an unclean room or food in your room rises to the level of violating her halfway house placement agreement. I think that's just a matter of opinion. As to, one moment, 7, the allegation that she had the gun-shaped lighter, my client adamantly denies ever having possession of that lighter. She actually was a victim of gun violence earlier in her life, so she would never possess something such as that. It's her claim that another resident actually was in possession, and that's someone else's gun-shaped lighter. And so you would think when she was found smoking in 1, 2, having 3 vape pens in her rooms later, you would think that would also be there if that in fact was her lighter. I think it's inconsistent, and I don't think there's probable cause to believe dominion and control over the gun-shaped lighter exists. Then lastly, as to K, her refusal to wear the GPS anklet. I don't have probable cause or an argument to say that she did wear the argument. However, on the 29th of February, this Thursday, I received an email from Catherine Terscani, the Assistant Director of Stanford Adult Ed and Continuing Education. And she stated that Alecia may have worked with her Hartford advisor from 1/26 to 2/1 when she began working with our NEDB advisor beyond the login date in the system that I provided above. There was a system activity and the student logged in on 1/25 and 1/26, which were dates in question, on course modules previously assigned by Hartford Adult Education for approximately 4 hours. I don't have any information regarding the work she completed, as she may have been still working with her advisor in Hartford. So I think that what my client may not have been enrolled in classes at that period of time, but all parties concur and agree that she transferred from Hartford to Stanford. And in that time, what we say is she was working at the library on the work that she still had to complete and contacting her advisor in Stanford and Hartford, trying to coordinate completing work and then signing up for new work. The student worked at the cultural literacy modules assigned by advisor on 2/12. She worked on the previous civic literacy participation assignment on 2/8. On 2/8, this advisor assigned the cultural literacy plagiarism model. Once the paperwork was completed and returned, they made contact with the client. So I think there's inconsistent evidence, and this is what I would have argued regarding charge 1, but I'm just giving this information as an explanation as to why my client was so upset that she was being asked to put on a bracelet for classes and courses that she was continuing to do work on. Obviously, should she have put the bracelet on, contacted us, and made those arguments afterward? I spoke with her about that. That would have been the better course of action. But she was continuously frustrated because she was going to the library, doing work, and they continued to call her a liar, which she took personally. Thank you. As to the seriousness of the allegations, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Okay.
You're jumping ahead.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's a prelim.
It's a prelim.
You're not.
Okay.
You're not jumping ahead. Go ahead.
As to the seriousness of allegations, we're left with charge 4. I don't think smoking I know there's a number of things, 11 things that they're arguing that she did as a basis of them remanding her. They didn't decide to remand her until she refused to wear the bracelet. Much of this conduct, the positive hearings, which are in there, are from August. We're talking about the whole course of conduct. My client's been incarcerated now since February 15th. Does she need an attitude adjustment, it seems? Is that a reason to go forward with a revocation proceeding? I would argue no. I don't believe these allegations, as they stand, the charges as they remain, are sufficiently serious enough to go forward with further incarceration, that she be held during the pendency of a revocation hearing, and I ask that she be replaced back in a halfway house. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So as I stated earlier, charge 1 is a no finding, charge 2 is a no finding, charge 3 is a no finding. Charge 4, as I stated earlier, I did break this up into multiple portions. So I'm gonna go by each paragraph and each date. So for the 9/16/2023 charge, I'm going to make a no finding on that, as I was not provided with a signed agreement, halfway house agreement, stating that she was informed of that rule. Same thing goes for charge number 2, not charge number 2, but section 2, which is the 9/17/23 for smoking. Section 3/11/16, where she was acting aggressive, although she should know that she shouldn't be aggressive. I do not have the signed agreement until January 5th, so that is a no finding. December 5th date is going to be a no finding, same reason. January 3rd, the reason for this is it was virtually impossible to happen, as it is dated that she assaulted another client at the Silliman House on December 31st, 2024. Because it states that, although I know Officer Sheehan did mean 2023, I have to look at what's actually presented. So that is a no finding on that as well. Charge 6, I believe, January 22nd. I do not have anything showing that food is not allowed in the house. And in addition to that, the misconduct that was provided did state for January 21st, not January 22nd. So that's going to be another no finding. February 8th, I do not have anything stating that she's not allowed a lighter. Now, is it smart to be carrying around a handgun or a lighter that looks like a handgun? Absolutely not, but it is a no finding there. Am I on 8?
Yes, 2/12/24, I believe.
8 for 2/12/2024, that did have video evidence as well as incident reports. I am going to make a finding on that one, as the evidence did provide verification. Charge number 9, again, the information that was provided me with the wrong date. It was for a different date, so that's going to be a no finding. Charge 10, the evidence that was provided showed me that she had an actual pass that was provided by the halfway house. Whether or not that was provided under false pretenses or not, she had that. I do not have anything showing that she went anywhere other than the library. There was no evidence to show that she was in a different part of the state or anything like that. So that is going to be a no finding as well. And then charge portion 11 on that for the remand, where her language and her refusal to be placed on GPS. I am going to make a finding on that, And due to those actions, I am going to find that the act is serious enough to warrant a revocation. I've also determined that Ms. Huslin should be detained while she waits for her revocation hearing. And at that revocation hearing, a hearing examiner will determine if she violated the conditions of her parole. And if so, the hearing examiner will make a recommendation regarding whether the parole should be revoked and what, if any, sanctions should be imposed. That is going to be scheduled tentatively for April 9th.
Okay.
And I think that should be all. And
Correct.
that should conclude the preliminary hearing for Alecia Huslin, inmate number 317044. Is there any questions?
No,
Okay.
don't have any questions. Ms. Huslin, the findings were made only as to not wearing the bracelet that we talked about, okay? And another incident, okay, that there was video that I reviewed, okay, that I'm not making an argument against because of the video I reviewed, that I found that there's probable cause in there. So I'm not making an argument because there is a basis in that. So the hearing examiner has found that there is a basis to go just on those two those two elements of section 4, there is a basis to go forward with a revocation. And so that will tentatively probably happen on April 9th. So I will contact you between now and April 9th, as will Ms. Lopes, our social worker, to talk about what we'll argue at the next hearing, okay?
Okay, so you're saying that you're not going to argue about the incident with the video at all?
No, because all they have to find is that if what on the video happened to happen, and I reviewed the video, whether or not there's probable cause to believe that there was an argument and that you acted in the way they said you did, which I watched, and I believe that there's a basis for them to go forward to the revocation proceeding. So no, I'm not making an argument based upon what I reviewed in the video. The video was very clear that there was an argument, and the video was very clear that both parties were waving their arms around and poking at each other. And that's all they have to show.
Right.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You're
All right,
welcome.
so I will be in touch with you.
And it's April 9th?
Well, that's tentative. In other words, that's what they're going to try to schedule it for. But I will be in contact with you between now and then, as will my social worker, to get more information from you to use to try to argue mitigation or why we think you shouldn't be held much longer than that date. Okay?
Thank you kindly.
You're welcome. Thank you for your attention.
You too.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Also, thank you.
Okay, so I mean, only in the state of Connecticut, right, where they have a preliminary revocation hearing before they make a finding to have an official revocation hearing, which we're about to watch. And then finally, they have the next board that approves or does not approve that finding in the official revocation hearing. So they have 3 hearings, so to speak, or at least 3 points of contact before they actually make a decision. It's a good use of taxpayer money, right? They also have public defenders, which I will say what you want about him, man. He is good. I mean, you know, it's interesting. And again, it comes to the cultures of seeing the different states, and it's Connecticut, and Connecticut is a state that I think everyone, you know, it's known for Harvard, it's known for Yale and academia, and you see it in this process. I mean, these parole officers are being held at the standard of basically like assistant district attorneys. I mean, did you see how many items was taken off of her list because the parole board member, who is also basically an attorney level, is saying, well, this isn't legal, that's not legal, I can't find findings here, you have the wrong date, you didn't show proof that you brought her that contract. I mean, really? If this was Louisiana, it would never happen. In Louisiana, it's just like all you need to show is that you were involved in criminal activity. You don't need a conviction. You don't need even in a, like, you just need that's the language in Louisiana, involvement in criminal activity. And then they allow the parole board to be as vague as they want. with those words. In Connecticut, it's like a court hearing. It's like, what you misspelled her middle name. Can't take that one. I mean, she had so many exhibits, they ran out of letters in the alphabet. They had to go to A, B, B, C, C, D, D is where it ended because there's nothing after Z. I mean, you can't make it up. And then this attorney, with the help of the parole officer, gets it knocked down to what, just 2 things? It was incredible. So we're going to go see if the parole board, what they find. They're only going to have, remember, they're only going to have, I think, 2 findings to work with. All of that other stuff that was thrown out, they can't work with that. So, she might have a fighting chance. We're going to have to see. And then at the end of that, I'll unpack it with some more details that Richard found. But man, it's a whole different breed in Connecticut. And like it or not, I could see where there are upsides. You might say, hey, it's better to give proper representation so we don't have this revolving door of inmates getting revoked. But at the same time, I just wonder. Anyways, let's jump into the next hearing. It's fast forwarding 1 month to the date, actually, which is pretty cool. So this was 4/17. We're fast forwarding to 5/17/2024. Let's not make the mistake like the parole officer made and give the wrong date. Okay, with that, let's jump in.
Yes.
So we now review the charges that the state appeal is bringing against you and the information underlying each charge. So at the preliminary hearing, no findings were made on charge 1, reporting, charge 2, curfew, charge 3, drug testing, and on charge 4, parts 1 through 6, as well as 8 and 9. So I'm going to read the only charges that we are considering today, which is charge 4, additional condition, halfway house placement. Part 7, on 12/12/24, you're exhibiting aggressive behavior towards another resident at the Rise Halfway House. You're getting up in her face, reportedly poking her in the face. This is a pattern of behavior that has been reported by Rise Halfway House and Stillman Halfway House staff in the past. This is a violation of Halfway House Agreement number 7. I will treat others with respect and not engage in verbal or physical altercations with other offenders, staff, or third parties. In Part 10, parole officer stated on 2/15/24, parole officers went to Rise Halfway House to place GPS on you for curfew violations unaccountable in the community. You refused to have parole officers place you on the bracelet. Parole officers continue to instruct you to place the GPS bracelet on, and you refused over 3 times, saying you're not putting that on me. Fuck that. Call your supervisor. I'm not putting that on. I'll leave here. I'm not putting that on. You continuously raise your voice using profanity, refuse to allow parole officers to speak. This aggressive behavior resulted in your remain back in custody. This is a violation of Halfway House Agreement. I will treat others with respect and not engage in physical or verbal altercations with other offenders, staff, or third parties. And the state is following exhibits that are pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, signed statement of understanding and agreement, conditions of parole. B, Connecticut Board of Parole remand to custody order. C, notice of parole violation. D, parole violation report. E, notice of parole rights. F, Halfway House Agreement, Rise Halfway House. G, Rise Women's Program Residential Handbook. H, Stillman Halfway House Incident Report. I, Stillman Halfway House Abbott Lab Results. J, offender, voluntary admission for positive substance. K, disciplinary action report for smoking, having a vape. L, disciplinary action report, smoking, having a vape. M, misconduct report, 9/27/22. N, Stillman Halfway House lab results. O, misconduct report dated 10/14/23. P, Stillman Halfway House incident, 11/16/23. Q, Stillman Halfway House incident report, 12/5/23. R, Stillman Halfway House incident report for unaccountable in the community. S, Stillman Halfway House incident report, physical threats of violence, dated 1/1/24. T, misconduct for threatening behavior, dated 1/8/24. U, Stillman Halfway House incident report for positive urinalysis. B, misconduct for Rise Halfway House for instructions not following. W, Rise Halfway House incident report for not following house rules. X, community passes for the library study time. Y, Rise Halfway House incident report for having a vape. Z is misconduct from Rise for violent behavior, dated 2/12/24. Exhibit AA, Rise Halfway House incident report for aggressive behavior. BB is misconduct report for unaccountable in the community. CC, Rise Halfway House program incident report. Witness refusal to be placed on GPS, 2/15/24. Double D is video submission on 2/12/24 incident at Rise Halfway House, and double E is photograph of cigarette there. Did you receive the notice of parole violation report, and other documents I marked, and did you review them?
Yes.
Okay, and council saw the following exhibit remarked for identification purposes. Defense Exhibit 1, list of parole accomplishments and future plans for parole reinstatement. And I received Exhibit 2 and 3, which are letters of support that were received. Do you need to continue this hearing to obtain any additional evidence?
No, we do not.
We have no witnesses, so now defense's opportunity, if you'd like to speak to any of the evidence at this time. You're muted. Oh. You're still muted. I can't hear you.
There are no findings as to the first three, as you stated earlier. However, as the charge for only two findings were made. As to the first of those two findings from 2/12/24, I don't think it amounts to the violation of her condition. This is just an incident. Although on video, it appears as though both parties were engaged in some sort of conversation. I don't think it rises to the level of a violation. I don't believe that it meets the preponderance standard as to violating a condition here. I honestly don't believe that it violated the condition. Didn't see any statement or testimony from the other party involved. My client was merely standing up for herself in something that she believed was instigated by the other party, and no comment as to the last. We made an argument in our preliminary hearing that the reason why she refused to wear the GPS bracelet is because she believed that she was being erroneously charged with not enrolling in classes, and that's why she went to the library. There was no finding made as to there. Understandably, she may have gone about it the wrong way. She should have worn the bracelet, then contacted an attorney or contacted us and said, tried to prove or show the proof that she had, in fact, been going to classes. And so those are arguments regarding the preponderance standard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to announce my findings. As I said before, I'm only looking at charge 4, those two parts. So regarding charge 4, additional board commission halfway house placement, on part, excuse me, it's part 8. I'll make sure. Regarding parts 7 and 10 are the ones I'm looking at. I do find you violated that condition, part 7, which is the date of 2/12, and part 10, which is date of 2/15. That's based on the evidence provided, which is exhibits FZ, AA, and double D for part 7, and AF and double C on part 10. That includes the fact-finding portion of the hearing. Before you make recommendation, council will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. This purpose part of the hearing is to help determine what outcome I will recommend. So if you'd like to at this time.
Yes. So I'd ask that you consider the 2 letters of support regarding the changes that the parties had seen in my client over the course of the years, particularly recently regarding her efforts at education and her effort to improve and better herself. My client is a single 38-year-old woman. She receives significant familial support from her mother, aunts, cousins. Her father resides in Florida, however, she has never met him. She has been working in the community and receives significant support from her ABH worker, Christy, and also from Ms. Tracy Shoemaker and Edward Andrews of the Second Chance Reentry Initiative program, where she's receiving education, and also through her church community. My client is the mother of 4 children, and her eldest child adult child is expecting her first grandchild, and she's very eager to get out and be there for her 21-year-old daughter as she's expecting recently, within the near future. My client's been employed at Goodwill in the past, as well as attending school 2 days a week at the same time. She's been a part-time cashier at Dunkin' Donuts in Manchester, a seasonal handler at UPS. Then she worked full-time at Goodwill in Hamden. She had been working at a gas station at night in Branford, Connecticut. So she has an excellent work history. She was completed a women's group through Community Partners Action. She's participating and receiving education in both Hartford and Stanford offices, doing the Ascend program through SCRIP, Second Chance Reentry program. She's also in a trauma-based program, and she's also participated in individual therapy. She's on medication management. She received the Moz Daily Treatment Clinic and also was working with the Connecticut Community for Addiction Recovery, CCAR. She received primary services through Yale.
Are you muted?
Sorry, I put my paper on my computer and it turned it off. She's in a group at York Correctional called SSS, Sisters Standing Strong, and she meets 3 times a week. She wishes upon reinstatement to be replaced or placed at the Silman House in Hartford on Retreat Avenue. She also in the future would like to explore 2 other sponsors, but she wishes to be placed at the Silman House. School is her #1 priority. She wishes to obtain her high school diploma and return to the diploma program, NAPD. She aspires to study business, go into the clothing design, hairdressing, and house cleaning business. She also enjoys teaching and writing and has written a children's book named Junior's Bedtime, which she hopes to publish. As I stated earlier, it takes 2 to tango. I believe that this was just a verbal argument, not even an argument with this other person. That's one basis of the violation, and the other basis was her unfortunate decision, and she was emotional, unfortunately, to refuse to wear the bracelet. She's been incarcerated now 2 months. I believe this was 6 months into her parole, so she had done well for 6 months. And we believe that she should be released hopefully as soon as possible. We're asking for the 25th date of April. We don't believe that these 2 small allegations of halfway house placement are significantly serious enough to warrant further incarceration. She understands the errors of her ways, and she has a lot to look forward to. The letters of support said that her behavior, her focus has been on education, and she is really dedicated to her schooling and hopes that she can do more for her children. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I have listened to all the testimony today. I will put on the record that you do have a prior violation for absconding, as well as received 7 misconducts on this term of supervision. And you were out in the community for approximately 6 months before returning. We'll note that the PCS, your officer, did recommend anger management programming as well as halfway house placement. I do take into account that I did make no findings on some of the charges that were brought up. So taking into consideration all of those things, I am going to recommend, 1 second. That parole be revoked to be re-paroled for June 14th of 2024. It's about a 4-month period confinement as a sanction. Recommend the following parole conditions: halfway house placement, no consumption of alcoholic beverages, mental health evaluation, behavior management program for anger management, a general no contact with DM without PO's permission, and no contact with victim LH. My findings will go to the parole board on April 25th. The board's gonna make the decision. So they can lessen it, they can keep it, or they can make it longer. So if they want a longer sanction, you'd be notified of the reason why, and you have a supplemental hearing if it got to that point. Do you have any questions about anything that was said? Ms. Howland?
You said you're setting a date for me to be released on June 14th.
That's a recommendation. So the parole board's gonna make the decision April 25th.
Will I be present on the 25th?
No,
Okay.
just call me the afternoon of the 25th or the next day and I'll let you know what the board decided. Okay, miss?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you're all set for today.
Thank you.
Wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, so the bottom line is that after she gets revoked for the whole ABCs and plus some, after she has her preliminary hearing, after she has her parole hearing, yes, finally the board made their decision and they agreed with it. A sanction up until June 14th. So at the time of this recording, she's got less than a month left to serve, and she's only had a sanction of what? A handful of months. All that cost, the attorneys and the caseworkers and the parole officers and it's like all of this for what? And when you take a step back, it's like, wow, what a waste. The whole thing is just such a waste. And I don't know what the answer is, but come on. I mean, but I guess when you go through the legal process, right, and you throw away basically like A through double B, you're left with just a couple things. What are you supposed to do? It doesn't look like that big of a deal anymore. But the bottom line is, before you throw that stuff away, it just, she's refusing to wear a GPS. She's disappearing. She's poking the staff in the face. She's doing all of this stuff. And it's like, what? And what's her record? I mean, her parole date, thank you, Richard, for the information. Her special parole ends 2026. Not that much more time. She just needs to get through a couple of years, right? And there's some more information Richard shared. There is, remember at the beginning, he spoke about that weapon where she had violence in it. So there's a whole case law where she went through a traumatic incident that Richard shared, but I don't know if we go through it now. It is pretty intense though. But you got to give this attorney credit how he knew that and like how he impresses me every time. And we've seen him cover roaches, and man, I got my first impression of him ever seeing him was covering the worst of the roaches, defending them. And I was like, how do you do that, man? But he's just so passionate about, you could tell he puts in the work. You could tell he actually does his homework, and his mind. I'm amazed by his mind because I think everything just clicks for him. He gets it. I don't know how many hours I'm just speculating, and it puts into these cases, or if he just sees it and he just knows, like a chess player. They see a board and they know everything what's going on. It's not that. And I just wish we could convert him to being, maybe a prosecutor for us or something. And it also makes me wonder why doesn't set up a practice. I mean, he's clearly good at his job. I left it. Maybe he would want to get interviewed. But he seems like he has a personality. Maybe I've emailed a few people for interviews and I haven't gotten responses. I'd be curious to interview him. So, yeah, here's one thing that Richard shared on this case. So this is in 2014. Maybe this is one of her big charges that she's locked up for. A city woman was charged with leaving the scene of an accident and possession of a powerful hallucinogen after she crashed her minivan into, and she's doing PCP, right? Like, that's just a drug you don't want to do, man. PCP. Out of all things you can pick, PCP. After she crashed her minivan into a condominium in the Old Southern Village complex. She was charged with leaving the scene of the accident, failure to drive improperly, and possession of hallucinogen, and I'm guessing it's PCP, sale of certain illegal narcotics, possession of controlled substance within 1,500 feet of public housing. I didn't know that's a law. Okay. And interfering with police. I mean, that's a Connecticut thing. Like, I thought there was going to say 1,500 feet with the school. No, public housing. Like, that's basically setting, it's like, we're going to make a law. You can't have an illegal substance within 1,500 feet of where everyone lives. It's like, is that really going to stop them? Or is it just going to throw on more charges? You know? It's so weird. So people think they're so brilliant making these laws, and it's just all a show, right? It's just like, so like I'm gonna pass this, and then I'm gonna make a press release about it. Like, yeah, it's really gonna help. She was arraigned in the State Superior Court in Stamford on Friday afternoon, where Judge Thomas set the bond for $25,000. Captain Richard Conklin said police were called at 1:05 a.m. on a report of someone crashing a 2007 Chevy van into an occupied condominium at 15 blah, blah, blah. No injuries were reported. Witnesses said they saw the driver and a passenger get out of the car and begin walking away. Police who found them and the man walking together on a nearby, calmly walking away, no big deal. Then, because they fit the description, the two leaving the accident, he said police saw the two had scrapes and bruises. Special Assistant Attorney Sarah Ross said at her arraignment that Houseland and her friend admitted to being in the car when it hit the home. As she was being taken into custody, police searched and found in the backpack 14 bags of PCP worth $300. This is a very potent hallucinogen that most people have difficult walking when they are using it, and certainly shouldn't operate a vehicle, as this incident illustrates, said the police officer. Thank you for your service, soldier. Anyways, it might have been the PCP, but it also could have been the water. Like I said, if you're traveling through Connecticut, buy the bottled water. I don't want to see you at one of these parole revocation hearings. Thank you, Richard, for the info. And with that, I'll let you go.